Hi, this is Todd Nessa from Godly America, and what I would like to do today is read an article that I wrote for my blog, which is found on godlyamerica.org, and it's about a movie that I watched today called The Pianist. It's The Pianist the Holocaust, and I hope you enjoy it. I know not everybody reads, but lots of people will watch, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and just read this into a video to hopefully reach more people with this message. Pianist in the Holocaust. And alright, I am watching a movie today called The Pianist, which details the life story of a Jewish man during the Holocaust. The time period begins in 1940, at the very beginning of the ramping up of persecution against the Jews. The movie shows how very incrementally the Nazis would begin their persecution and how the public around them, out of their fear, simply participated or were complicit through their silence to do nothing. Beginning were economic sanctions that were placed against them, making it difficult or next to impossible to earn an income for themselves. Along with this came other forms of marginalization, such as not being allowed to patronize certain places of business, like a coffee shop. Then came armbands that they were forced to wear and purchase at their own expense. Next, they were forced into Nazi ghettos, where they were further persecuted, abused, and murdered through nighttime raids conducted by Nazi soldiers. Many were co-opted out of their greed to work for the Nazis as police, some even emulating the very appearance of Hitler, to persecute their own people. As the Nazis turned the heat to a boil on the Jewish race living in occupied areas at the time, occupied by the Nazis, such as Poland, where the setting for this film takes place, they soon would carry out their plan to ship them off to their labor camps, in which the Jews would soon discover what really awaited them, and that was extermination. I'm watching now the film displaying the Nazis coming to the ghettos to round them up to take them to the camps. They came to the ghettos unannounced and ordered the people to gather their belongings. A woman was shown being shot at point-blank range for simply questioning where they would be going. Then came the loading of the Jews into the boxcars and the murder of some of the Jews in the process by the Nazi soldiers. Many men, women, and children were terrorized in their homes and then taken out of the streets to be machine gunned down or shot at point-blank range by the soldiers. Men would be forced to line up for work details and have every other one separated from them, forced to lay prostrate in the ground, and then shot in the head one by one as the others silently watched lest they meet the same fate. Later, these same people who remained in the ghettos to perform forced manual labor at the hand of their oppressors, after they used them, murdered some of their ranks, abused them, humiliated them, whipped them. They firebombed the ghettos to murder those who remained. The Nazis would bring in tanks to shell buildings where they suspected Jews were hiding, firing their artillery shells at the buildings. Then they would send in soldiers to murder any who remained alive inside of the buildings. Their intent was that there would be no Jewish survivors left inside. Bodies would then be piled up in the streets and burned by the Nazi soldiers. Buildings would be marked for destruction in Jewish areas and systematically destroyed with flame-throwing weapons. That is the reality of the Holocaust, a reality that went beyond the Nazi death camps into the main streets of cities inside of Germany and Poland and other occupied areas at the time. We mostly know the Holocaust from the images of the death camps. However, the campaign for extermination by the Nazis went so much further than what is commonly known. This is the reality of what we are doomed to repeat in large scale against the populations of the world should we continue in our ignorance, comply by our silence, and then allow for it by our failure to expose it. A large-scale Holocaust will eventually be tried again, as eugenics of the Holocaust never disappeared or went away. It merely changed forms. We must be aware of this evil and not offer or silence to those who are not offer or be silent to those who are marginalized, such as infant children through abortion. Incrementalism is the tool that the enemy powers use to engulf people into tyranny, into such tyranny that they are not empowered to fight against it. Just like the Jews were not powerful enough to fight against the Nazi soldiers who had all the machine guns and the flame-throwing weapons and the big tanks. We must act now in the United States to defeat this tyranny from taking an evil hold on a massive scale. It is unfortunate, not common enough knowledge of the eugenicists, and I named some names here that I'm not going to name in this video, and others who were citizens of, or they were members of companies who helped to finance and support the Nazis. However, the fact remains that such evil has long been at work inside the United States, working in stealth and incrementally turning up the heat of tyranny as they scheme to entrap us in a nation robbed of the constitutional rights. As I am coming to the 1-year anniversary of the dream that I had last year, and I have that dream posted on the Godly America YouTube channel, I am learning more and more as to the true meaning of the dream that God gave me. The stealth of which I was referring to was how the eroding of our constitutional rights and further legislation to allow for martial law or other things was occurring. If we awaken, it is still not too late. However, there is little time, and an uprising against the tyranny being done must be exposed. If not, many of us will await the same fate as the Jews faced at the hands of the Nazis during World War II. Please do not make the mistake to think that such a thing could never happen. It can and has already been planned. Please watch this valuable movie and take a lesson from history. If enough people do that, then we will prevent this from happening on our own shores, the land of the free and the home of the brave. You don't think it's possible? And I write, Google FEMA camps in Rex 84. In the early 1930s, I wonder how many people were living inside of Germany or Poland would have thought such an evil thing would happen in their own country, but it did. Evil never goes away. We must fight against it. It always tries to hide. Therefore, we must expose it. I wholeheartedly recommend, with no children viewing, please, you take a few hours to watch The Pianist. And that concludes my article. Again, this article is posted on the Godly America site at godlyamerica.org, and I encourage you to go read it for yourself. Now, the reason why I didn't name the names is that they were very prominent names, and their descendant families are still around. So I'm kind of a little leery even about mentioning their names.